from now to the end of the year, okay? And if it's something that we like, I would say we could continue to do it. But if you know that person, I mean, we all know one another, but maybe you know them well. Maybe you don't know them well. It would be a good opportunity to get to know them better. Maybe check to see if they're on any social media platforms, and if they are, follow them. And, sometimes that just helps us keep up with one another. Okay. Good. Let's jump back into wherever we were. I don't know if our PowerPoint works still, does it? I have a laser. I did push a red button. Was that bad? I said 2020. Okay. Get it, Melissa. It's my cat. If I ever get a cat, I'm naming it Tammy Wang. Beep, 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 boop, 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 boop. Hey, what happened to the pretty background? One more. One more. One more. That's fine, but there's no background. Don't worry, guys. I don't have anything for this part anyhow. I don't know how come the background went away, but okay. Let's finish up. Before we jump into this, like what I've titled this, I just want to also say we are looking for some possible outreach opportunities. Mark asked everybody on staff to dig into some sort of outreach, some sort of serving, some sort of something that gives us an opportunity to just simply serve people. And so it's funny because if you remember, our plan for this year was to go to a nursing home, maybe do like cake and coffee, and then go sing Christmas carols or something at a nursing home. And we are not going to be allowed to do that, I think, guaranteed. I can't even imagine that they would let us. So I still can't see my mom inside. However, we actually thought, if you remember back in the day, Christmas carolers just came outside. Like, you didn't go inside, you just Christmas caroled outside. So I know I have that on our calendar. Everything else got bumped or changed dates anyway. I have it on our calendar as a potential team building date. I think it's the 5th of December. Is that what I put? Because guess what? That is a Saturday. You know why? Yeah, we're all wonky because we are not doing a Christmas cantata this year either, unfortunately, which stinks. But I think I'm off on my dates because I thought I would have that Saturday would be a kids program Sunday. So you know what I mean? I think I had the Saturday as open. It may now be a normal worship morning. I have to get back to you on that. All that to say, the outreach opportunity that I think would be awesome and a way to do the thing that we love to do, which is sing and be musical, is maybe to get connected with a nursing home or an assisted living or something like that somewhere in this area, or maybe a few in this area. And a few times a year, just go and sing for the old people. Like, I know it's something that I don't know if any of you guys grew up doing that. My kids did. It was called Genesis in Vineland, and they did it in 4th and 5th and 6th grade. I think all 4 of them were part of that, CARE or whatever it was called. And so they kind of have done it. I did it when I was young. And but a lot of people, older people or people who are disabled or whatever, it can be daunting. It can feel awkward. But I think it's a great thing, and it's not terribly hard in a group to just sing, sing hymns, sing maybe some of the stuff that we sing that's just easy to do with just a guitar, or whatever. So I just think it's something I would like for us to dig into. I don't know where we will be, and when we can do something like that indoors again. But I love that, Mark. We were going to do a whole summer of serving series, and then we can't serve anywhere. We can't hardly do anything. We're going to do Operation Christmas Child, but we're not going to have the normal table set up. We're going to come in and take a box. For those of you do it at home, and we're trying to keep things kind of distanced, but still serve in whatever ways we can. So, but that's something that I'd like us to have on our docket and maybe our thoughts for next year. But my mom's nursing home, which we would not do because she's in Mays Landing, but they have 180 residents. And the gal told me there when we were visiting that they have about 30 residents who have visitors. And I just thought, that's 150 residents who don't have anybody visiting them, And they do. They have, music therapy, and they have, people who come in, but not somebody who's touching them kind of regularly. And I just thought, that just made me sad. So I thought, we can't fill the need for sure, but it might be an opportunity just to serve with nothing in return except just the opportunity to do something like that. And I know there are several here at Hope who have a loved one in a nursing home or in an assisted living. So I think we probably can get some hookup, with something like that. So I'm going to dig into that for next year. I will say about the Christmas caroling thing, keep it on. I will send an email when I feel like we know. And I talked to somebody the other day about one of the things starting up, and it's hard to know 14 days in advance even. Like, what is it going to look like a month from now? We're talking about Christmas, Christmas party with a ladies group. Like, can we have a party? Like, how do we do I don't know how we do something like that. And, so it's hard to know. But at the same time, I do think that if there were an opportunity to just be like, let's go outside, and if it's not too stinking cold, my mom's home, again, we're not going there, but the whole outside back wall is all the windows. So we could literally sing for whoever against their window. You know what I mean? Like, it's not hard. Yeah, just essentially most of them are set up where you can go around the building. So, and because people are doing that now, I mean, they even have the room numbers are on the outside. They have papers up on the outside of the windows to tell you which room is which, so you know where your person is, So it's just something that I think the heart of Hope that wants to serve people. So each kind of staff position was looking for a way to find that, and I just thought, well, that kind of resonates with me if there's something we can do to kind of use the gifts that we've been given. So keep the winter activity on your radar. I will give you dates and whoever can be involved. I had started last year with, I want to do these team building nights. Let's do this together, do something away from our instruments and away from our, tech stuff, and just be together. And then, COVID. So it was just kind of like, oh, that didn't go how we thought. So we may get another run at it next year. All right, so I'll keep you guys in the loop for that stuff. All right, bowling, picnic, whatever, something fun, axe throwing, kayaking. Yes, that would be fun. Okay, you can give me ideas if you guys have ideas of just something to do together for fun. Okay. All right, so this section is called "If You See Something, Say Something." All right, speaking the truth while loving other people, okay? And I think sometimes we get so much of that, like, speaking the truth in love. I mean, what's the way that people say, no offense, but, and then they're fully offensive, with all due respect, and then they just don't have any respect whatsoever, in the thing that they're about to say. So there is something about speaking the truth with love, in love, but speaking what's true while loving each other. What is loving? So I will be honest, I don't have anything written down for, like, I want to share this, and this. See you, John. Thank you for being here. But I do think that there can be the idea of, if you see something, say something. The first time I remember hearing that was after 9/11, And it was kind of all over, but especially like in New York City. And it became that like, if something looks out of place, if something looks dangerous, if something looks like it could be harmful, say something, speak up. And in the context that I would like us to put that in, the reason that you would speak up on, you saw something funny on a subway, or you saw a random bag that looked like it was unattended, and so you speak up because it is to benefit the people that you're with. It's to say, this looks like if we keep, if this is here unattended or undealt with, it could cause a problem, right? So it was to protect. It was for the protection of other people. It was out of consideration for somebody else. It was to say, I want to head something off before it turns into a problem, or a bomb explodes, or somebody pulls a gun out. Like the things that look dangerous. The idea behind the slogan was, if you see something off, say it. So in this way, I want to talk about and ask you to, if you're willing, think out loud with me, maybe even be a little vulnerable, and at the same time, kind but candid. What are things in our context that you would say, I have, I think this happens, or this seems to happen, or this has happened, or I've known of a situation, and I want to say, I think it should look different, or I wish it looked different, or I think we could do better. If there are things, I think it's better to speak them, say something, so that we go, okay, how can we do better for the protection of one another, for the protection of the body of Christ, so that we are ready to do battle against the things that would come, the targets that are kind of on us. So I just want to have like an open, like, what do you guys think? Are there some things? So I'll put it in this caveat, and then I'll let you go, if you will, with me, be willing to do that. If you have something that's like, oh, I almost hate to say this, but then maybe start with, the sandwich thing, this I really appreciate about our ministry. This I think is a good thing, or I think this has been done well. This I think we could do better than, or I wish this would happen. And then the end can be, and by the way, I love you. I don't know. Like what, you know what I mean? Like we want to say, this I think is good. This I think we could do better. Okay? Melissa, thank you. I'll let you go first. And let me just say this. Nothing is bad. Nothing is off limits if we're kind. You know what I mean? If we're kind. But I'm interested in it, even if it's something that you think would reflect poorly on me. I would like to know. I don't think we get better if we're all just like, everything's fine, and then we go home and lose our cool with our spouse or whatever because you can't stand what we're doing at church. I don't think that's where anybody really is. I'm trying to do extremes, but I would like to hear from you, and everything can be considered. Maybe everything can't be done or changed or shifted, but I would think everything should be able to be considered if we want to be people who grow. Okay? Tammy? You're always Tammy to me.
I have a real concern with hearing. And
Okay.
what I mean by hearing is I want to maintain my hearing
Yes?
for as long as I can as a human being. And I'm sure everybody else would like to do the same thing.
Okay.
There are lots of things that are out of our control when
Right.
it comes to what comes into the buds.
Okay.
What I'm concerned about is when's the time that I'm either blasting or I'm not.
Okay. So we're talking about like in-ear,
in ear.
okay?
So what I'm concerned about is, first of all, I still have the same problem with my ears where I have to, they pop in and out. I need to adjust that. I know I haven't really done anything about that since the
Okay.
last time I talked about it. But I think that the amount of sound that we have due to in-ears, at least as a vocalist for me, is a lot.
Okay,
And it doesn't matter what's adjusted, frankly.
okay,
It's a lot.
okay.
So for me, I go, I'm not struggling to sing over it.
Uh-huh.
It's not about struggle. It's about, is my hearing going to go out because of the amount of sound that's coming into my ears
Right.
eventually?
Okay.
To the point where I almost fear, like, and this is just real, where I go,
Yeah.
should I quit at some point so I don't lose my hearing?
Right. And
I
that,
know that sounds dramatic.
no, it does, but we also don't,
Think about your hearing.
sure.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And that's a lot pumping in our ears.
Okay.
Like to the point where I'm on stage and I'm like, wow, this is like it's huge for us when we're
Okay.
in my ears it's huge. Yes, I know I can turn down my pack, but then I lose the ability to do some of the things I do.
Okay. So I think that's a very valid thing. I think that we can work toward whatever fixes for our in-ears. And that is something that I think, first of all, let me just one step. I hate to go backwards, but we don't have even the PreSonus. We don't have the board that we had. We've been making these little, like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, kind of through all this process. And then then we've got this, analog instead of the digital. And we've got these wonky tablets. Like, everything is weird, but eventually we do those 2 steps forward, and it is every time forward, and maybe 1 back and forward. So I do think it matters. I do think your fit matters. I think that might be something that we can week to week with each individual. It should not feel like your head is just pounding. We should be able to figure it out. Eventually, it could be that you just need a new set, and I don't know who is using the in-ear buds that we gave you as a church. Okay, and are they white? Clear. Mark, did we bought 2? We bought more expensive than we bought a little bit more expensive set, right? So maybe we'll do like an inventory. And if anybody who feels like, hey, I'm struggling weekly, doesn't matter who's doing sound, doesn't matter, I just am struggling weekly, we might have to just, we might just have to say we need to put that into the budget to get a better set for whoever could use it. Okay?
I think part of the struggle might be that you don't know what you're supposed to feel like. And what I mean by that is you're not sitting in an environment where it's like, this isn't really a good set of levels in your earbuds. You're making that judgment call yourself.
Right.
Right? So it's a little harder to figure
Yeah.
that out, in my opinion.
Yeah. It can be, that's for sure. So I think that I do think it's something. It's no, it's not.
And I'm just sensitive to it. I don't
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Tell you that when I was able with the digital board
Uh-huh.
to control on the iPad that I have the overall volume of what was coming into my ears, it was
That was more helpful. Yeah.
I also wear buds that don't go deep into my ear. They're on the edge so that I actually have ambient sound. It's not just
What's
if I
going
listen to
inside.
my ears, I can hear like everybody like individually.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me that, because
Okay.
I've tried the other buds like recently and I just switch them right back.
Okay.
I can't get to work. So I mean, if you swap out your
Yeah.
I swiped out the little knobby things and they're a little bit out.
Okay.
They're not as in. So that's what I mean.
Yep.
It's
All
hard
right.
to understand like the right fit for yourself.
Mhm.
yeah.
Tom's got a big hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've had this conversation with Drew basically every time we practice, and I keep saying to him and forgetting to do it. Let me put your in-ears in my head and hear Norman's,
Yeah.
because he has really expensive in-ears, and they fully isolate.
All the other sound.
And I have said that same thing, like, I don't even know at this point what I should be hearing.
Right.
So it's hard for me to tell, like, what do I need?
Right.
And I've said, like, I wish I could hear, like, someone on band who has good
That's got a different set.
what they hear someone
Okay.
and aim for.
Good.
So maybe there's a way we could have like a vocalist workshop to just talk about how to mix up
Yeah.
sound.
Okay.
We don't really know what
right.
And I think for me, I don't know how you feel, Melissa and Kathy, but it all changed when we got the new speakers because the volume across is a little bit more
And guess what?
or whatever.
Guess what? We might be getting new speakers again. So, these were all, everything was damaged when that power thing went out. So that, it is the nature of the beast. Like, we're doing the things, but then it's always a little bit of forward, backward. So, but having said that, I have a thought, but I want to hear from Sawyer.
Yeah, so something that's helped me is because a musician, like whenever I've been performing, or even if I'm just playing keys somewhere, what's helped for me is, especially for you guys as vocalists, when you have your in-ear mix, something that temporarily could help, just that crossed my mind is, as a vocalist, sometimes it's not always important to have literally everything that's on stage. Like, if you literally sometimes all you need is the keys in your ears.
I took the drums out.
Yeah, okay. That was just that crossed my mind. Like, sometimes
Yep.
all you need is the keys. And
There's, it's a good word. It's a good word, and it's good for all of us. We all can get there. We want, because we're musicians, we want all that fat sound that comes from if we had wedges in front of us. Like, I love that. I'm like, the more the merrier. But the truth is, that's a selfish sense in a way. Do you know what I mean? If it means we recognize the battle of when those wedges, there's a whole nother battle that was going on when we had all these things across the front of the stage that was really difficult, made it difficult for our sound team, made it difficult all around. I need more. Well, we're all coming out of the same mix. It was really hard. So we went, okay, we'll take the hit, we'll serve. I don't get all the kind of fatful that I want in my sound. Am I doing that? Is that magic? Anyway, I feel like I'm supposed to be really still. Anyway, so we go, what do I need to do my part? Yes, you need a melody instrument. You probably need, I know we get ambient drums. We need the click, that's for sure. You know what I mean? There's some things that we know we need. We need to hear a voice. So even starting, and did it once with Sawyer, I did it once with Matt Martin. I literally just put everything at 0. And then while the band was playing, I brought up what I needed kind of to a level. Then I brought the things, my keys, my voice, usually the kick and the snare. I'm usually pretty helpful for that. Then I brought in what I could, among other things. So sometimes it's just kind of wiping that mix and going back. So everybody can do that. I don't think it's a bad idea to do something with a sound guy or guys to help us, like, what do we need to do? What should we be listening for? So I made a note of all that, okay? Other things, guys? Anything, other things.
Well, I think it's probably more of a budget, trying to figure out
Okay.
if it's in the budget, but in this size room,
Mm-hmm.
the acoustic drums are incredibly loud and you can't get a good mix. So at least eventually looking at trying to get a top, maybe even covering the rest around the sides, just to isolate the acoustic drums so that we can get a better sound in the actual house.
Now, there was some conversation about those round guys, but that,
Just for cymbals,
that's the baffles for the cymbals.
yeah.
so that's different.
Close the whole kit, because right now it's the kick, the snare, the toms, everything is so much.
Yeah, I agree with him, because one of the main things that I get, which is usually the most important thing, but getting out of sound system, we're getting kick out of the sound system. When it does come to snare and everything else, it kind of is hard to get a good volume.
Okay.
Not a good volume, just a good, you're hearing way more of the acoustic drums than
Right.
anything else comes through the system.
So like you said, that's a bigger conversation for sure with our drummers, and then budget-wise, you're right. So we might be looking at something that may come, provided that's the right way. But what could we do? I'm sorry. I would say the first part would be, are we going to move that direction? So then if we decide to move that direction, like, yes, is that a thing? We probably would look at what something like that would be, and then talk about it as a equipment thing, or has it come out of music budget, or where it comes from. But meantime, what suggestions would any of you guys that are drumming, or drummers info like that you may have of your own, would you say, how could we help that in the meantime? Just how we hit, just how we our own control, some miking maybe, some EQing.
The acoustic kit. This is nothing with mics. So this is literally just playing quiet.
Just actually what we're doing is.
Boost the volume in the house of the drums.
Drew, Dud, any feedback from you guys? Just, okay. 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 Just something to keep in mind. I mean, it's the one instrument up here that does everything else. You don't hear my keyboard unless it's plugged in. You don't hear an electric unless we got everything, even the bass. Like that, we don't have anything happening noise-wise. The acoustic, I guess, would be, acoustic and acoustic. We have actually those things that we're hearing outside of amplifying them. So it is something. It's something. So it's definitely something to have on our docket for conversation and for potential move forward on that. Other things, guys? Melissa?
Just an observation from the congregation.
Mm-hmm.
In the congregation.
Yeah.
I do find the sound to be, and maybe guys, I just need my ears.
If this is a sound thing, we're just going to tell you to get your ears checked.
No, I do feel like these speakers are pretty powerful. I sit usually right about here. Could be where I sit, but it's very big in the house for me. The further up you get, and I trust that you guys know what
Right.
you're doing. I don't look at the little,
Yeah.
jobby.
Right.
But so it's not really that. It's just my impression of it is that it's pretty loud. I do lose, I think, vocals in that.
So I think that you have a good word on it, and here it's differentiating some of the stuff. So I do think that overall sound in the house, yes, it is something that we are probably always going to be attentive to. Like it's going to always be that kind of an animal. There is something different between the volume and I don't know what the right word is, but there can be, people will say, no, this was really loud today. But what they really mean is, I couldn't hear the voices. You know what I'm saying? Or this was, like I've heard this before. All I heard in the house was the acoustic guitar. And I'm thinking, no, that's not all you heard in the house. Like, I know that can't be right. But all I heard was the acoustic guitar and the drums. And it's because we're trying to find this balance. So you're seeing an electric guitar play a lead and you don't hear it. It wasn't really that the acoustic guitar and the drums were too loud. It means the mix wasn't what we're looking for, so that it is balanced. So EQing the room, the speakers, like we're talking about something that would be an array, maybe 2 arrays. So right now, the guy that came in and did this analysis, he said our tweeters are just going over the top. These should be, there's little things that are like, this would make a difference even for what we're hearing. So I am not doing that, I swear, you guys. It's not the click. I think there's a handheld on somewhere. Anyway, so there is something to be said for the level. The decibel level in the room, we're measuring that with that little sticky guy. We're trying to be intentional. The speakers do fade heavy to the back. So sitting and where you sit and the throw does make a difference. But I think if we're EQ'd well and we're balanced well, it isn't almost so much that it was too loud, it's that it was out of whack. Like somebody one time said on the live stream, I can't hear, it was something like I can't hear a part of something. Oh, Dana's voice is way too quiet. Do you know what? It wasn't too quiet, but when I prayed, the pads or whatever, like my voice didn't change. I was the same as I always was, but something else was loud, and that made it feel like we can't hear the vocals. And it was just when I was speaking, not when we were singing. So, but somebody says the band was way too loud. That's a hard one. Like, what is too, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? So we have to try to go, all right, we're getting a lot of volume. We're trying to work, and that, like I said, it's going to be it will always be a working it out. And we've got different people doing sound, different people playing instruments. So everyone's a little different. So trying to say, yes, volume matters to us. We do actually measure it. We're trying to be attentive to that. And then how do we get the best sound, the best balanced sound, so that we're not running into those like, I couldn't hear anything today, or all I could hear was the, drums, all I could hear was the electric. Drew. It's true. You're right. Yep. That's true. And these that used to be sound panels, they ain't anymore because they got painted. So, yeah, right. It's just like a wall. Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point.
I don't wanna claim that there's a right volume. 'Cause
No, I agree.
no way to.
Right,
I think for me, I just don't want it to distract
right,
from the messaging that comes
right.
off of these songs.
Yep,
That's all.
absolutely.
Concern about.
Absolutely, and I think that's valid.
I don't walk to the back and be like, turn it down.
No, it's valid. And you want to know what? Sadly, our sound guys have had that occur. And that is a hard pill because, yes, our heart is that we're doing it, but sometimes it's really tough. And for them to take the heat, and sometimes it's come this way. Somebody will say, you really need to, whatever. And I'm thinking, I can't help you with that. Like, I literally don't know how to play that instrument, so I don't know how to correct that, part. So, and I will say, thank God, it's very few and far between. We have a lot of very good-hearted people, but I think that's it. We want to have a large trust account with the people in the church. All the things we talked about, knowing the people, knowing what they need, leading our people, setting our own stuff aside, all of that matters when we start talking about the nuts and bolts, because if it's up to me and I'm here all by myself, I can crank that thing all I want and it sounds amazing on the piano. Like, it doesn't matter. But that's not going to serve the people if we're looking for a balance, we're looking for a level, so how about if I write down carpet and we'll get the budget moving on that right away. But no, I don't disagree. The buzzing, there is stuff that's happening that we are looking to hopefully address that could help us with some of this. These strange buzzes and just, why is it that when we turn off that set of lights, the buzz goes away, and also it affects the go zone. It's just so, it's strange. We got weird stuff. So these are always the little by littles, but that's good input. Thank you. Anyone else? Emily? I'll come back to you, Matt. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and right now, all of our vocalists, aside from, Tanner and Dylan when they sing, are women. You know what I mean? So that's what we are right now. But that's a great point. And it is. Yeah. That's, Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Sure. Yes. I agree. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great word. It's a great word. We talked about it years ago when we had moved from this stage. Remember when we used to stand down here, guys? We moved up to here, and I remember saying at a workshop, "Be careful of your dresses, girls, because suddenly you're 4 feet higher than everybody else, and eye level's going like this." You know what I mean? And a lot of us, we wear pants or whatever, but it is. There is. I'm not. There. It matters. That we are appropriate in what we're doing, and so taking a second to be like, oh, that's right, we're up on a higher stage, and also, as much as it might pain you, it is very helpful to go back and watch the live feed when you can, because it will help you listen. Sometimes we don't get a great mix, and I know the Holy Spirit in the room, it can have felt totally different. But there is something. Remember we did a vocal boot camp, remember? And I was like, go back, now listen to yourselves. Listen to yourselves, and you'll be like, wow, I really thought I was on pitch. And you know what I mean? It pulls out some of those things that we might be missing. So you might look at yourself and be like, why is my face so sad? I thought I was, just praising the Lord, rejoicing in the Lord, but I look like, my dog died. So it does matter. It does matter. Okay? Matt, you had something.
Oh, sorry, this is just a joke. Can you reimburse me for all the Daisy Duke shorts that I just bought?
I can't. Tammy Wang, checks in the mail. Matt, what can you do for us?
Well, I didn't actually have my hand up. I was just complaining about the lights over there.
I called on you for a reason then.
I was, and we talked about this before, but I'll say this in defense of the sound guys. Like, we would need to spend like $20,000, $25,000 to get like a professional sound system in here to sound like the concert you go to or
Sure.
church you see online. Like,
Yes.
especially with the acoustics of the room is one thing, but even just the quality, everything to get clarity from all the volume that's coming through.
Yeah.
It's just the cost of everything that goes
Right.
into it. And so without that, you can do the best that you
Yes. Right. It is. And that, all of that stuff. And that's, I would say, a sense of we're one team, like we're all in this together. I am not doing that. It's making me feel insecure. We are a team, and we can, on a bad day, we can be like, what are you doing back there? My ears, you know what I mean? Now that's an extreme. But we can certainly get that mindset of, why are you working against me? And them going, dude, why do you keep hitting the drums like a maniac? Like, I'm doing everything I can. We could take that on. We have to intentionally fight against that to say, no, 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 no. I know that, thanks you guys, thanks for coming. Thank you. I know that they are for me, and I am for you. We're doing this together. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, because Steve left. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to get him to them. I'm going to get everybody who left, I'm going to get you a person to pray for. Yeah, I'll get that to you. Thank you. As long as you leave yours here. So yes, you're right. The realization that we've only got what we've got, and we're thankful to God for what we've got. The guy that came in, his name is Charlie. He's loaning us this whole thing. He works with Guitar Center, and he came in and he looked at our stuff. He came here, he sat in on a Saturday night rehearsal, and he said, I'm really impressed with what you guys have. He said, I work with a lot of churches, and they don't have this. Like, I'm really impressed with what you have. And so then we get like, good for us. But no, but what it really does is go, oh yeah, that's right. Like Matt said, we aren't Elevation. We are just a church that's doing our thing for the kingdom of God in this moment, in this little space, on this timeline for all eternity. This is our moment, and this is what he's given us. And let's do all that we can to the best of our ability with what we have, and ask God to provide what we need, and be humble enough to say, if this is what we have, it's enough. And he will do something big with what we have when it's in his hands. And with it, let's do all that we can, and pray over, a windfall. Maybe we'll get, $1 million in the mail, and we can, whatever we want with that, I guess, but we can buy you in-ears. Okay, but yeah, that's all good sound stuff and a good word to be reminded. We're not fighting against one another in it. Okay, I'm way over what I had said. So how about if we just take anything else on that, guys? We're literally the end. If you guys are down, we could just sit for another few minutes, and any questions on anything we talk about, any answers I can give you guys, and then we could wrap up early. But I definitely, do you want to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes and do that, or you want to just motor through? You want to motor through? All right, if you need to use the bathroom, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, we'll get out of here a little early.
I have one other say something. Just with being respectful of everybody's time, during practices, being aware when the person who's leading, usually mom, is talking, even if she's not talking to you, trying to be quiet and staying engaged with what is happening
Mm-hmm.
instead of playing or talking over. I feel like it would help our practices run a little bit smoother and making sure that we're not wasting time repeating ourselves.
I agree with that. That's something that we've always kind of talked about, like those nuts and bolts things to come back to, and it's just good to put a pin in that. Like, hey, that's right. That is something that that's just respectful. It's courteous. It's considerate as we're ready to get rolling. I love this sense of family and the goofing off. The goofing off that can happen because we're prepared and we're ahead of schedule. Like, I'm grateful for that. I would hate to feel like it's a drag to come to rehearsal and everybody there is bored, and like, I don't want that. We want to come in, we have the joy of the Lord, and we're singing about the joy of the Lord and the good that He is and the goodness of God, and it shows up in our relationships. So that's necessary. However, yes, I don't disagree with you, and I think that's probably I know it's appreciated when we're trying and we're still tuning, or we're still fiddling, or we're still drumming, or we're still yakking, like we're still like, hey, okay, now we're ready to start. So just being a little bit more attentive to, we're starting, let's pay attention, the ins and outs, whomever is leading. It's not always me. So yeah, good to be mindful, reminded of that.
Simple technical question, because I never
Yeah.
thought about it. So if you have the control of the pads,
Yes.
at the end of the service or at the end of the practice, do you want that plugged back in, the sound?
Yes, so the pads, everybody who's running pads, all our vocals are here except for Bethany, right? She just left. Everybody else is here. So you've all had opportunity and responsibility to run them. Right now, that computer stays here. Be sure that the charger is plugged in. If it's being charged, its cord goes right to the that guy strip that's always plugged in. So just be sure that you plug back the charger. Unplug the charging while we're in service because it's wonky. When Sawyer is on, he runs the pads because it's a little bit more connected to his stuff. I have put a little sticky note on the inside. Sometimes when it's closed, if it shuts down, I wrote, here's the password, here's how to get to everything, okay? So, and I'm usually here to be sure that it's set up, but if there's something that happens, you should be able to run it from that sticky note. Is that it? Just be sure that they're plugged in charging. If it's charging, then it should be plugged in. Okay? Anything else, guys? Other questions that came up from...
So when we go off stage to Labat for the rest of the service, do we leave it or plug it in? Do we unplug it during service?
The charger. You know what?
Worship, we unplug it.
Kathy, if you girls can remember to charge it, yes, if you can.
Put the charger in and then come down and sit for this,
Yes, if you can. You don't need to.
or at the,
Let's watch it tomorrow, because I would love to be like, if we don't need to, let's not. Let's just plug it in after the 10, so that it's not until Tuesday, and then I'm coming in and it's dead, and I gotta. Yeah.
between services to make sure that it gets plugged in through.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's see.
I've been plugging in after the 8:30.
And it's been okay. I think,
the 10, and then I plug it in and close it after.
okay, I think we're okay as long as it's after rehearsal and after the 10. So let's just remember those 2 times. Okay, good. Thank you. Other things, guys? Any other questions or thoughts or feedback from anything else we talked about?
This might be kind of in the same category as housekeeping,
Yeah.
and I am a culprit of it as well.
Okay, so this is vulnerability, transparency time.
But the stage always looks like a disaster with
Huh.
cords and everything wrapped all around.
Had he gone out to the bathroom during that point?
Did you already bring this up?
No, but we talked about cleaning up the stage, keeping it. Yeah, absolutely. Even cords and cables. I mean, that's yeah. Pay attention. Sure.
That are all over the place. Like,
Yeah. Yep. If something's not being used, things aren't being used. Let's at least
yeah, like even if
put that cord, together, run it together.
cords, like there's a way to manage the cords so it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
all over the place.
Right. Pay attention to that. And that can be anybody. I know this. I'll speak for the vocals because I'm a little bit on this camp. I'm an in-betweener. Sometimes I'm like, what the heck is this? Whose cable is this? Is this a personal cable? Did somebody leave this one here? Does this go on? Should this be up there? Is this going to get plugged into something? I don't know all of that. And so then I hesitate to touch it. But if you're somebody who plays on that side of the stage or a sound guy, you probably know what these things are. So we can all be attentive, at least to ask, like, hey, Tanner, what is that one? Why does that one look like, it could get wrapped up and put away, okay? So yes, paying attention to that as well as just keeping the overall upkeep. Anything else? John?
You know how we all have different backgrounds, and some of us, on one side of the spectrum, you might have, like total a cappella singing or hymns with a piano.
Right.
On this side, you have this radical crazy people just going for hours and hours. That's
Obviously,
like
it's the smoke.
Let's say that's the spectrum, or wherever we fall in there. Somewhere, I'd love to see a little smidge, more than we're already doing, of either space or repeat a chorus.
Good.
Holy are you, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And then repeat that a couple more times. Than we normally do. Somewhere, I don't know.
Good.
Your time is already
Right.
taken up with everything else.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, but I love that, and thank you for sharing that. And I think the same. I think there are a lot of times that somebody said, we joke about it when you're dating, like, leave room for the Holy Spirit, like, don't get too close. But I think that is right. There's some time, right? Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that that's something to always be mindful of. And the person leading that day, who's gone through the set, whether it's Matt or Kylie, Tanner, myself, who was leading, we're going to say in that preparation, that's that time to say, Lord, do you have a different plan? And sometimes on a Saturday night, you guys have been here, and we're like, we're going to do that one more time. Or, I know we talked about even Thursday night with, are we going to go back and do But My Life at the end? Are we going to do something? And Tanner said, I don't think I'm feeling it because it's the last song. And I think, and so we kind of, how you were here, like we kind of do those feel things once in a while. But I think that's a good word, and it's something to be mindful as we prepare. And hey, is God doing something different? Are we trying to cram in 5 songs or 5.5 songs, or just to get them in? Maybe we need some space. And so I think that is something, and I think there's always good in that, because there's people feel awkward sometimes when nothing's being said, but that can be a really, really sweet time to hear from the Holy Spirit. And that has happened, I know, in probably every one of us sitting here. And I know it's happened in the church. And a couple came to church for the first time about 3 years ago. They're part of our church now. And the first thing she said to me was, what I love about your worship time at this church is you don't just sing 2.5 songs and get up and get down. You have songs that we can sing, and there's space to feel like we have spent time with the Lord. And I thought, now she may have come, I don't even remember what was in the set, but I think that's what people need. I think they crave that sense of, yeah, we're not just trying to bust out the 5 favorite songs we like. We've tried to establish this like road, this pathway to the throne room of God, and allow the experience to be something more than just, stand up, sit down, fight, sing verse 1, verse 2, we don't want that. So that's a good word, John. Thank you for that. And I think that's probably something we all want to take into consideration. Anything else, guys? Drew? Yes, thank you. We talked about this a minute ago, and I said I was going to mention it. Drew had a good thought on this, guys. We've gotten very used to, we kind of are habitual, creatures of habit. So I would like to ask us, if you are keyboard and over, let's try to exit the stage that way. If you are, so bass, you get your choice. You probably get your choice. If you're on this side of the stage, I'd like you to try to exit this way. We talked about that view on the live stream. You know what I mean? So I just think that again, it's stuff we never thought we'd have to think about. Like, we were never even recording worship, and now it's like we've got all these, things to think a little bit more. But I do think that when Mark comes up and he's ready then, and he's welcoming, and we've got all this traffic going on, you know what I mean? So let's be a little bit attentive. Now, I know the reason I say we're creatures of habit, like you guys sit over there. Yeah, so then you're just like, okay, you got to make a run. That's fine. Just make a run through the back. If you happen to sit on this side, but you're over here, just do that. I think that's better, the flow, to go out that way than to come back and forth. And I would say 10 or whenever, like for tomorrow, for example, communion. Yeah, we'll just commit, make your run this way versus sitting, or try a new spot in church. Kara doesn't like change. Oh, that was your regular face. Thank you, Drew, for that reminder. Yeah, I had mentioned that. I think he had mentioned it was a good idea. Have somebody behind the stage. Say that again. Oh, you're saying leave through the curtains? Oh, these curtains. Dustin, just come all the way. We'll go to the back door. We'll go to the back room, where the cleaning stuff is. That'll be our green room. That curtain is so heavy. It's like, ugh. Okay, you can do it, Dustin. You already have a curtain to remember, but you know what else that does? It helps a few more people look towards the curtain. Did the drummer come out and that's still open? We can close it, I don't know what that is. Thanks, Dad, for the fantastic suggestion. All right, gang. I don't want to keep you, but I appreciate your input. And sometimes after this, you come up with a thought. Dave and Chet, I forgot. They just told me at the lunch break, on Planning Center, every so often, if you were to pull it up, every so often you go to your media player and it gives you all these hokey messages. How it's not going to play. This video contains content from Vivo, who has blocked it from display on this website. So every once in a while we get that. We don't know why. Kylie and I, when we upload, are always looking for the official videos so that they don't snatch them down. So I'm not 100% sure. She's going to reach out to Planning Center and see why we have a problem. In the meantime, if you go and don't open Media Player, but you open the order of service, don't ask me why this is, and you go to the actual files for the song, randomly it will play. There it goes. So I don't know why that's happening. The downside of that is you can't just listen song after song like you can on the Media Player. So I don't know what's glitchy on that, so we're going to try to look, and I told them I'd make it part of my Tuesday checklist to go through that week and double check, is everything playing? So I'll do what I can to help you with that. Hopefully by Tuesday, you've at least started to open or have opened your week so that you've seen what's what and you know what you're listening to. You may catch it already. If you do, you can, you're back. Your other options are get on Spotify. If you have a premium account, you can just go right to the playlist that we use and it'll play them in order for you. If you are just using the free account, you can still search songs, you know what I mean, and you can and play them that way. If you have your own YouTube account, which I know is kind of random, people don't really, but you could certainly take the songs and just create your own thing to follow. If you have an iPhone, you can create your own iTunes playlist. Kylie does that. I know Drew and Emily do that. If you have an iPhone, just take what are the songs, dump them into your own set list, and then you can just listen in order. So there's a couple of choices if you run into that. I said for me, I almost always listen to Spotify, and I have the account that will play in order of a premium account. And then I listen to the tutorials. So sometimes I don't even realize that the media player isn't playing them because that's not my go-to, okay? So if you find a problem, you can definitely say, I can't play it, and we'll probably do a run-through on Tuesday and just be like, let's see if we can clean up some of these that aren't playing. Sometimes, I mean, like I said, the fact that if I go to the file and I can play it, doesn't make a lot of sense as to why I can't play it from Media Player because I'm still playing it through Planning Center. So I don't know exactly how to fix that, but I'm going to do my best. So if you run into that, you can certainly reach out to me and you can look for other ways. Maybe you're like, well, I still need to listen to the song, but I don't know which one. If you're in the band or if you are a lead vocalist, you can listen to the tutorial. Like that, is going to give you. If you're not, then you need to listen to it somehow. So you can say which version, what did you upload, what should I be listening to, and I can definitely send you, hey, here's the link I would listen to. We got kicked off of YouTube. Remember that? Like, I don't know what rules I broke, but I can try again. I can try to create a new, and if I can, I will, but I'm not sure why it wouldn't let me. I don't know why we got in big trouble. We don't know why. Good. Thank you. I had forgotten that, and thank you for that, Drew. Anything else, guys? Like I said, things will sometimes come up because now you're like, oh, that happened, or I should have asked about that or mentioned that. If things come up, send me an email, text me, like, let me know, hey, I was thinking about this, because it might be something that's like, yeah, let me answer that for you, or yes, I'm so glad you said that, let me shoot out something that just reminds everybody this is, whatever protocol, this or that. Okay? So thanks, guys. The things that we spoke about, I appreciate your input on those things. I appreciate your patience as we figure out what are next steps. How can we get there? The only thing that I talked about in 2018 that we did not put into place from that meeting is using multi-tracks. That's the only thing that I had mentioned as a moving forward potential that we may do. And that may still be something that we do. I have to be honest, that this year was not on my list. But, with the year we had, but there's some good in that, but there's also some work to that. There's a lot of syncing up that has to get done, and I just haven't had the capacity to dig into how does it look? Do we run it through Ableton? Do we run it through MainStage? How do we run multi-tracks to give us just some body? I saw, it was just like a meme, and it was like, it was just some guy that's like, I heard a bunch of things and there weren't people on stage playing those instruments. So it was like they were found out. We got found out that we're using, multi-tracks. But the idea is not that we're replacing something. We wouldn't be like, oh, suddenly John's sick. Let's just play the bass through multi-tracks. Like we aren't looking to replace anything we have. but we're looking for it to enhance. So some of the songs that you hear that, like Sawyer's been able to add some of those patches and synth stuff. Some of the stuff, there might be a click track not a click track exactly, but you guys know what I mean. There might be a percussion thing that's happening. We're not going to do that because our drummer's already doing all that he's doing. So it would just give you, it just gives us a little bit of boost to kind of help round out some of the sounds that we hear. But I'm just letting you know that's the only thing. I didn't go through the list, but the only thing that we always talk about, like, hey, what are our next steps? What have we done and what are we doing? And we've done a lot of things. And between last workshop and this, that's maybe the only thing that we didn't actually start to incorporate. So like using an in-ear, all of us on in-ear, all of us using the click, and thank God for that click. I'm telling you, it literally, it's like you didn't know what you were missing until you were using it. I'm just so grateful for it because it just really makes, there's some accountability, but man, it sure helps. So anyway, I appreciate all you guys. Let me just ask you if you would pray over some help in the tech booth, okay? These guys are killing it, but we only have Viscount and Eric. I say Sawyer, so we kind of have 2.5 sound guys because Sawyer's a little bit split, and I'm just kind of using him where we need him. But it's a blessing to me when he can add some of what he's adding up here on stage. So he's kind of both. We've got 3 guys doing broadcasts, which is awesome, and we've got 3 guys doing words: Bob and Alex and Rick. So, but it's not enough. Do you know what I mean? Like we all kind of feel it. Having 4 at each place would feel a little more ideal. We had 5 on every single position. We had 15 people on our production team before COVID. So, and it just took us out. You know, we had situations of health issues, necessity reasons. They needed to not be a part of the team. They needed to step back. Some have stepped back for other reasons. So I would not say we're like piecemeal. I think you guys have done an incredible job, but there is some weight to that when you know that rotation is coming and we need you to serve, but you've also got a life and you've got a job and you know you got family stuff. And so if you would just pray over, would the Lord just bring somebody or restore the health or the hope of those who haven't been able to serve, that they would be able to step back into that if God would give them the grace to do that. On our stage team, Jason is taking a step back for a while, and that's a good, healthy thing for him to do, but we're missing him. Obviously, our choir, who is just, yeah, Damon representing. It was so good for Damon and John. I appreciate you guys coming, especially when right now it feels like, yeah, I'm ready to serve, and I can't serve. So we're just going to ask that God would preserve our choir. Kimmy, her health, obviously this is a big deal for her, the pulmonary issues that she has currently. And so it's kind of like we've got a team there of about, at least I know 8 is on the choir, and I know at least 6 who are like chomping at the bit. So we're just going to pray God's grace for them. And then on our stage team, Mike Brom was going to jump in on bass. Jen Brom was going to join our choir. They had both kind of auditioned already with me. Steve Clark and Sawyer both kind of did their little a bit of an audition and then kind of just like trial by fire. Like we just threw them. We didn't have our normal steps. But we, you know, if you guys are connected to people who are like, I would like to get involved, I don't know where to serve, or I play the bass, or if you guys hear it, speak to them about maybe you could serve at Hope, you know, and we can move forward with that. Ownership, absolutely. It's our team. Join our team, okay? And people like to join teams when they feel like there's good things happening, and I believe that there is good things happening on our team. So each of you guys are deeply appreciated, and I'm grateful for each of you, and I'm glad I had a chance to chat with some of you a little bit today. But let's just do these prayer pieces. See, it's not me. It's not me. It's not me. You think it's me? Oh, thank you. Anybody else have a card?